Adam Silver has recently said the NBA will be looking into expansion after the current media rights deal is up in 2025. While no definitive cities have been set, Adam Silver has flat out said that the NBA is closely considering Las Vegas, and that there is, quote, enormous interest in Seattle. Expansion is only natural for a league that's been exploding in popularity over the last decade despite the ups and downs. In fact, according to a survey done a few years ago, the NBA has actually overtaken the NFL for number of fans aged 16 to 25 in the US. This is also not even mentioning the global viewership growth. Given the bright future ahead of the NBA, expansion will probably happen sooner than we all think. And these cities are just too good of spots to pass up. Let's dive into why. Seattle is a city that, as we all know, sadly lost its historic team, the Supersonics, over a decade ago. While interest in the team had begun to decline in its later years among the people of Seattle, the team by no means had to go, and still had massive support amongst the public. The real reason the team relocated was due to owner Clay Bennett failing to receive approval to use taxpayer funds to build a new arena. Despite the mayor even making a public pledge to try to keep the team, Clay Bennett had made a decision quickly to move the team to Oklahoma City, and the public of Seattle were robbed of their beloved NBA team in a snap. This has sort of led to a nostalgic Sonics fans resurgence in recent years, with more public pleas to Adam Silver to bring back the Sonics than you could probably count in your lifetime. Even ignoring how culturally rich of a basketball city Seattle is, the population of Seattle's metro area is pretty high at just over 4 million people. This would put it at the 15th largest metro by people in the US. Given that there are 30 teams currently in the NBA, this would put Seattle in the middle market area, firmly above cities like New Orleans, Charlotte, San Antonio, and even the city that stole Seattle's team, Oklahoma City. These two reasons alone can paint a pretty good picture of why putting a team in Seattle again is a top priority for the NBA. Las Vegas, on the other hand, can be a bit more confusing to understand why the NBA might want a team there. Las Vegas doesn't have a historic pro sports culture, and would actually be on the smaller side of cities that host NBA franchises. But if you look a bit deeper, it starts to make a lot more sense. On the topic of sports culture, the Golden Knights in the NHL have been a real leader in this area. Many were skeptical if a pro sports team would do well in Las Vegas, especially hockey in the desert. However, the entire Golden Knights organization has shown that if a team does everything properly, from prioritizing residents of the city over corporate seats to making good front office decisions for the roster, then a new pro sports culture can be formed anywhere. The Golden Knights have seen massive popularity ever since their start in 2017. Given that there's a new culture forming in the city, it's smart for the NBA to get in on that. And on the topic of Las Vegas being a small city, it actually is way smaller than you might think, at a bit under 3 million in the metro area. However, when you factor in that Las Vegas is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the entire world, let alone the USA, they're looking at a lot of potential customers to buy tickets, merch, and maybe even become a fan for life once they go home. Let's also not forget that anyone going to Vegas for a trip probably has a lot of cash to drop. Speaking of people with a lot of cash to drop, in a GQ interview, Tracy McGrady said that LeBron James is absolutely going to have ownership in that team, and that he heard it through, quote, league channels. So if that turns out to be true, the team could have a lot of buzz around it from day one.
Although at the moment Vegas and Seattle seem like the most likely destinations for the new NBA expansion teams, there are other spots that have been discussed, and definitely could benefit from having an NBA team, as well as being very lucrative for the league as well. The first spot that comes to most people's minds outside Vegas and Seattle would probably be the City of Steel, Pittsburgh, who already have a successful MLB, NFL, and NHL franchises, with every single one of those teams being in the upper half of their respective leagues' revenue. And all those teams also have very dedicated fan bases. And the city would gladly welcome a basketball team, as they do already have both Pitt and Duquesne with established Division I college teams. And with teams like the Cavs, 76ers, and Celtics all being right there, it'll make for some pretty quick rivalries, something that is seriously lacking in the league. But if not another team in the East, then maybe the league could look to add another one down south in Nashville, which would also make a very quick in-state rivalry between the Grizzlies. Not to mention the fact that Nashville already has an established culture, and is one of the fastest growing cities in America that is embracing their sports teams more and more with the Tennessee Titans and Nashville Predators. And it's clear that the city does have a hunger for more sports teams, as the market is pretty wide open right now, as well as the fact that they already do have Bridgestone Arena, which is a huge benefit, all making for some very good reasons why the league might look to move to Nashville. The league also could look up north and try and place another team in Canada. Vancouver had their 6-year run before moving to Memphis, but they also had some pretty poor management, having a ton of pretty rough draft picks, missing out on Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant, and Steve Nash, all in the '96 draft alone. And Vancouver's only continued to grow, as almost 1 million more people have moved there since the team left in 2001. And if not Vancouver, then they could look to Montreal, where the game is really starting to grow, as there's currently 4 active NBA players from Montreal: Lou Dort, Benedict Mathurin, Chris Duarte, and Ken Birch. The game overall in Canada is really exploding, just period, with a lot more talent coming from north of the border. But the NBA also has shown a lot of interest in going south of the border to Mexico City, where the league already has been multiple times, possibly testing the waters for what an NBA team would look like in Mexico. And truthfully, the travel isn't much different than going to Houston or San Antonio, so it would be another good way for Adam Silver to keep expanding the NBA into international territories. And it's entirely possible that he might even be looking to expand beyond the North American continent, as Adam Silver has already talked about the possibility of expanding the NBA into Europe, and that was all the way back in 2015, so you can bet the emergence of Victor Wembanyama is only making Adam Silver salivate at the thought of a team being in Paris. The NFL has already expressed their interest in having a team in London by as early as 2025, but with the benefit of the NFL teams only playing 1 game a week for 18 weeks, it would make it a lot easier on players to recover from travel and prepare for their game. Which is why Adam Silver said that the league would need to put both feet down, and that would mean having 4 franchises in Europe. Presumably London and Paris would be 2 of the cities, and with Italy already having a huge basketball culture, they might look there as well. Germany is also another country with a major basketball scene, so it's likely that that will be the 4th spot. Whichever city they choose, it is clear that the league is looking to expand soon. And even if they do choose Vegas and Seattle, that doesn't mean that this isn't just the first round of expansions, as the league continues to become increasingly international. To see proof of that, you just need to look at the finals in the last 5 years, where the last Larry O'Brien was given to a team led by 2 international players in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Then in 2021, again, Giannis Antetokounmpo led the Bucks to their first championship in 50 years. And in 2019, the trophy was won and sent out of the country for the first time ever for a parade in Toronto. So it seems it's only a matter of time before the league starts to truly capitalize on those empty markets. But if you made it this far in the video, give it a like. While you're down there, you might as well just subscribe and hit the bell not to miss another upload, and we'll see you next Sunday.